This is Mrs. Miller, your teacher at ELA Academy. Welcome to part 2 of my annotation demo for Act 1, Scene 1 of The Crucible, a play by Arthur Miller. In the previous video, we looked at effective annotations for several categories that I described in my Annotation 101 video: historical context, plot, author's use of language, personal connections, and literary devices. We talked about how the play is set during the witch trials in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692, and how the town's reverend had caught a bunch of the girls dancing in the forest at night and looking an awful lot like they were participating in witchcraft. Now 2 of the younger girls whom he caught are acting like they're in a coma, and people are afraid it's because they've been attacked by a witch. The first set of annotations centered around this issue. Today's annotations, however, will deal with the Reverend's orphaned niece, Abigail, and some of her secrets. Our next annotation type is asking questions. Early in Scene 1, before all of the other people show up, Reverend Parris is questioning Abigail about what she and the other girls have been doing in the forest. Now that there's a problem that will draw attention to him and his family, he's concerned about Abigail's reputation. He asks, "Abigail, is there any other cause than you have told me for Goody Proctor discharging you? It has troubled me that you are now 7 months out of their house, and in all this time no other family has called for your service. They want slaves, not such as I." Goody, by the way, is short for good wife, which basically means Mrs. If you do a little research about young women working for married women, you'll discover that girls in New England at that time were trained to become mothers and housewives. Their mothers were expected to train them when they were young, but they would often enter another woman's service to get training when they were older, perhaps so they could learn additional techniques that their mothers didn't know. It also gave them a way to earn a little money and keep busy while they waited to find a husband. So here's my question. It sounds like she was fired for some kind of misbehavior, and the other women know about it and don't want to hire her. I wonder what she did that was so bad. Either Goody Proctor expected too much, or Abigail was too lazy or proud to do the work. Or perhaps she did something bad. Which one? Now remember, when you ask questions like this, you'll want to remember them and try to answer them later on. Next, we'll look at connections between parts of the text. Here's the excerpt we were just looking at, in which Reverend Parris was asking Abigail to come clean about why Goody Proctor fired her. Remember that we speculated about reasons and wondered which one was correct? And remember that I said we need to try to answer those questions. Well, we're about to do that now. Here are 2 more excerpts. After the adults leave Betty, Abigail, and the other girls alone in the room and go downstairs to pray, the girls start arguing, and Betty miraculously wakes up. She accuses Abigail of performing witchcraft the previous night. "You drank a charm to kill John Proctor's wife. You drank a charm to kill Goody Proctor." And then later, John Proctor himself comes in, and everyone but Betty and Abigail leaves. "John, I am waiting for you every night." "Abby, you'll put it out of mind. I'll not be coming for you more. You know me better. I know how you clutched my back behind your house and sweated like a stallion whenever I come near. I saw your face when she put me out, and you loved me then and you do now." And you probably thought that this was going to be a stuffy, boring old play. Bet you didn't see this coming. This sure puts a new face on the fact that John Proctor's wife fired Abigail, huh? Well, let's look at the connection between these 3 excerpts. This answers the question of what the truth is regarding why Abigail was fired. This raises a few problems for her and John Proctor. First, she had an affair with a married man, which is a huge scandal in Puritan society. They've broken one of the 10 commandments by committing the sin of adultery, which actually had criminal consequences, unlike today. In fact, in some places, you could actually get the death penalty for adultery. Next problem, Abigail is clearly still in love with John, and she tried to use witchcraft to kill his wife. She's trying to keep this secret because she definitely doesn't want to get in trouble for it. We can guess that she will work very hard to keep the whole ugly truth from getting out. Also important, she has lied with a straight face to authority figures, so nothing she says is trustworthy. Well, we know that, but anyone who doesn't know the truth might be taken in. She seems to be a good actress, though. She does a good job of playing the righteous person who's been abused by others. Look at all these conflicts and characterization that we were able to put together because we looked at parts of the text that were connected rather than just each little piece by itself. Now let's look at one of my personal reactions. A little later in Abigail's discussion with John, this happens. Proctor says coldly, grabbing her wrists, "You'll speak nothing of Elizabeth. She is blackening my name in the village. She's telling lies about me. She is a cold, sniveling woman, and you bend to her. Let her turn you like a—" Proctor shakes her. "Do you look for whipping?" My first reaction was, what a hypocrite. Now remember from Annotation 101 that I would often see students write that in the margin and stop there. Don't do that. We're going to keep going. Why do I think he's a hypocrite? Well, he had just finished flirting with Abigail, and then he tried to backtrack and say that it's over between them. So he's sending major mixed signals to begin with. Then when Abigail lashes out at her competition, no, it's not nice, but we shouldn't be too surprised. He gets angry and defends his wife. He sure wasn't defending Elizabeth when he was cheating on her. Now he's being ugly to Abigail when he's just as guilty as she is of betraying his wife. So what does this tell us about John? He is vulnerable to temptation, but he also clearly still has feelings for his wife. At minimum, he feels guilty and has a sense of duty towards her. He is torn by internal conflict. So again, your personal emotions are not good annotations by themselves, but what in the text prompted those emotions is important. Start with the emotion and figure out why you had it and what it tells you about the characters and the plot. Last annotation, characterization. Let's have a look at what Abigail says to the other girls after Betty accuses her of drinking a charm to kill John Proctor's wife. "Let either of you breathe a word or the edge of a word about the other things, and I will come to you in the black of some terrible night, and I will bring a pointy reckoning that will shudder you. And you know I can do it. I can make you wish you had never seen the sun go down." What does this reveal to us about Abigail? She sounds vicious and vindictive. The pointy reckoning that she threatens them with sounds like she might kill them with a knife. How about when she says, "And you know I can do it"? How do they know? What other dark deeds have they seen her do? This behavior is the exact opposite of the proper righteous image that she presents to Reverend Paris and the other adults. Again, it shows us that the persona that Abigail presents to the world is not the real her. She's full of secrets and wrongdoing and a potentially violent willingness to get revenge. You'll do well to remember that as you continue reading. I hope that this demo has helped you understand how to write good annotations. Don't miss the other videos in this series. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And as always, you can find helpful resources for each and every video on my blog at elaacademy.us. This is ELA Academy.